Well, Atlanta is getting ready for the biggest Pride Festival in the Southeast, and only Peachtree TV is showing you Sunday's Pride Parade live as it happens.
We're also dedicating time to covering major issues for Metro Atlanta's LGBTQ community. Tonight, CBS 46's Karen Greer is looking at the positive changes from a notorious Atlanta police raid of a Midtown gay bar.
I pronounce you married.
10 years ago, same-sex marriage was illegal in Georgia. You couldn't openly serve in the military. But walking into the Atlanta Eagle, it didn't matter who you were.
I mean, I have people in here in a three-piece suit all the way down to, full leather. It doesn't matter how you want to dress. It's a place that you can come and be yourself and not be judged. It's 100+ years old.
Richard Ramey, once a regular at the bar, has owned it for the last 22 years. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of the infamous illegal police raid that left the LGBTQ community bruised and customers scared to go back.
Yes, this looks really bad. Yes, this should have never happened. We can't just all run back into the closet and hide. We've got to make a stand.
Now, no one thinks twice about using their cell phone to capture interactions with police, says attorney Dan Grossman, who represents the Eagle.
And so one of the first things they did was take people's cell phones or kick their cell phones away because they didn't want any video of this nasty stuff that they were about to do.
The violation of their rights so egregious, the events after the raid made it illegal for an officer to interfere with the public's right to videotape or even photograph police activity.
People think about it as a gay issue, which to an extent it certainly was, right? But people don't realize what important reforms we got for everyone in Atlanta.
On a September weeknight in 2009, the infamous Atlanta Police Red Dog unit stormed into the Eagle, some of them wearing masks, on a complaint alleging illicit sex and drugs. The now disbanded group was a drug unit known for its aggressive tactics.
This type of unlawful raid was something that the Atlanta police had been doing primarily to black establishments for a while, and nobody ever really challenged it. And I think they got this idea that if we pick on some kind of a vulnerable community, we'll get away with it.
Officers shouted gay slurs and forced some 60 customers and staff to lie face down on the beer-stained floor, then illegally searched each person without serving any warrants.
There were people, old people in their 50s and 60s and 70s, just being shoved to the ground, thrown on the ground, people with hip conditions.
Nothing illegal was ever found, but 8 employees were charged with failing to have a city permit.
In fact, when they got to jail, they had no bond because there was no such crime. So they couldn't set a bond to something they never heard of.
Ramey was off that night when his phone rang about 9:30.
What in the world could have happened that would create such a force, a show of force from my bar?
It took 3 years and a federal ruling before the city complied with the $1 million settlement to the Eagle and 24 plaintiffs. Several officers were fired or faced disciplinary actions.
As a result of our court order, Atlanta police officers are now trained every 2 years on Fourth Amendment issues such as when you can stop someone, search someone, frisk someone, arrest someone.
Atlanta officers are also required to wear name tags and give their names if asked.
And that's a really important part of police accountability, right? If you have a bad interaction with a police officer, you now can go and say, it was John Smith, and then they can investigate.
Ramey says he holds no hard feelings against the Atlanta Police Department, and he's satisfied with the outcome.
We started having a relationship and we started having dialogue. Well, that was a horrible night, but I think that night strengthened our police force. I think it educated some of them that didn't even know some of the things that they've learned through the years. I think that night has enlightened a lot of things in our city.
Karen Greer, CBS 46 News.
Our continuing coverage goes on all week long as we get closer to Sunday's Atlanta Pride Parade. Be sure to watch it live at 12:30 that afternoon on Peachtree TV.